The sound type is a really dumb idea. I've been repeating myself more than Fred Durst on a hook. There are a lot of people online insisting that Pokemon needs new types, and I'm not going to argue with them. At some point, there probably will be a brand new type introduced into the games, which fundamentally changes the identities of many Pokemon, but that should never be the sound type. The other day, I posted a short explaining that we might be getting a brand new Rotom form in Pokemon Champions that's just a haunted stereo system with access to the move Boom Burst. Now, DJ Rotom is currently confirmed to be an electric normal type, but so many people in the comments were really hoping that it would be the brand new sound type, which people have been asking for generations. My only goal today is to explain to you why the sound type is fundamentally a really bad idea for Pokemon in specific, from not just a competitive perspective, but just like a game design perspective. All right, so what about the sound type makes it a bad idea to create a balanced Pokemon game? Well, we have three major issues with the sound type in particular. Those are the fact that the sound type thematically isn't really able to fix issues that people have with the type chart right now, the fact that the sound type already exists as a very well implemented mechanic in Pokemon, and the fact that changing sound-themed Pokemon to be the sound type would make those Pokemon inherently less unique and interesting than they currently are. Obviously, you shouldn't just take me at my word. I've qualified and competed in the Pokemon World Championships, but I'm not like the greatest player to ever touch the game. So I'm going to do my best to convince you today. There's a face cam in this video. I hope that doesn't off-put some of you. But I'm not used to using a face cam. The people who get me my sponsorship said I should show my face in videos more because it's good for brand recognition. And I've been told that people don't know what I look like in person, so I'm going to start putting my face in videos. This is going to be kind of an awkward transitional video because I don't know how to edit like this. Let's just get right into it. If you guys enjoy, leave a like, subscribe, check out the Patreon, become a YouTube channel member, hype the video, all of that. And hey, you definitely want to subscribe because at 300,000 subscribers, I'll be ranking every bench in Lumio City. Let's just begin. Okay, like I said, the sound type isn't thematically able to fix issues that people have with the type chart. At the moment in Generation 9, the biggest issue going on with the type chart is the fact that the fairy type is maybe just a little too strong. For 4 generations now, the Pokemon who have set the pace of competitive play have almost always been fairy types. The fairy type is just weak to steel and poison types, and it's resisted by steel, poison, and fire types. Fairy Pokemon are able to hit some of the best types in the game for super effective damage, including dragons, dark types, and fighting types. All of these types, prior and even after the introduction of the fairy type, have been dominant in competitive play. The fact that fairies deal with some of the best types in competitive Pokemon, while only being weak to poison and steel types, 2 types which historically lack offensive options and excel in more defensive roles, is kind of an issue with game balance. It means that something needs to be done to balance out the type chart better and make it so fairies have a few more counters. They're not super broken, but they're definitely at the top of the game right now. Many people propose that the sound type should be introduced as a type which hits fairies for super effective damage, but this just doesn't make sense. In what world would a sound be a counter to fairies? Last I checked, fairies love music. The woodland critter type will not be deterred by show tunes. The Pokemon Company tends to make sure that the type chart makes intuitive sense at least. Fighting beats rock because karate practitioners break bricks. Rock beats flying because you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And flying beats fighting because Mike Tyson raised pigeons and would never harm one in his life. As far as how a sound type would interact with the type chart, I would assume that the better sound travels through a medium, the stronger the attack would be on it. So sound would likely be strong against steel and water Pokemon, as sound travels better through denser mediums than air. If you really want, we can also include the flying type just to make it so it's all 3 mediums that sound travels through, being solids, liquids, and gases. I wouldn't complain if you want to do that. As far as what resists the sound type though, that's kind of the tough part, because the only thing that I think could resist it would be ghost types, as they're intangible and you can't really interact with sound if you're not physically interactable with. Also, don't say that bug types should resist sound, because last I checked, bugs actually can hear a lot better than people. There's no reason why bugs should resist sound. There's not really any basis for that. Why does fire resist fairy? Because you used fire to drive away fairies. It's some old folklore thing. I don't know. The only fairies I know are like Tinkerbell. I'm not really scared of them like people used to be. I'm scared of gnomes though. Those ones are scary. As for what types would be immune to sound, I would say just sound is immune to sound. This would be to represent destructive interference. Did I mention I have a physics degree? We're up to 3 times that it's mattered in my new career as a Pokemon YouTuber. Now, what else does sound resist? I don't know. It doesn't make sense for sound to resist anything other than sound, frankly. It's the concept of sound. So taking a step back, which I can actually do because I'm on camera now. So taking a step back and looking at this hypothetical type matchup chart, do we really need this? Do we really need to buff the Ghost type, a type which has historically dominated competitive Pokemon? And even worse, this would be an indirect buff to Fairy types, since Steel types now have a whole new weakness that they need to look out for. From a pure type chart balance perspective, the Sound type would probably be inoffensive at best and actively harmful at worst. I wouldn't mind nerfing Water types though, to be honest. They've had it too good for too long. Moving on from the type chart, we really need to talk about something I genuinely don't think that proponents in the Sound type ever consider when discussing its potential. Sound already exists as a mechanic within Pokemon, and it's a really cool and interesting one. In Pokemon, there are move categories. These move categories include things like punching moves, slicing moves, biting moves, trapping moves, pulse moves, wind moves, HP draining moves, and just like a bunch of other small ones that I'm definitely forgetting. These move categories determine certain mechanics surrounding the move and what abilities that move will interact with, like punching moves getting boosted by Iron Fist or wind moves activating Wind Rider. And sound-based moves are the most common category of all of them, leading to them having the most mechanics surrounding them. Sound-based moves are some of the most important moves in the game, and most of them wouldn't be as strong if it weren't for the mechanics belonging to the move category. Sound-based moves bypass Substitute, they're boosted by the ability Punk Rock, they activate Throat Spray, they're affected by Liquid Voice, they're blocked by Soundproof, and they're disabled by Throat Chop. In recent history, sound moves have been integral to VGC formats. Snarl prevents Psy Spam teams from snowballing too easily because they deserve nothing. Parting Shot Incineroar has been able to slow down the pace of games to prevent Hyper Offense from being just the best archetype ever, and Roar was one of the best counters to Geomancy Xerneas in 2019 and 2016. Beyond all of that, sound-based moves just come in more flavors than Baskin-Robbins ice cream. Actually, my people are letting me know that Baskin-Robbins has 31 flavors and we have 18 types, so we're a little over halfway there. The point is, having the properties of sound moves be available to every type in the game is only a good thing. Being able to bypass Substitute with a bug move like Bug Buzz, activate Throat Spray with a fire move like Torch Song, and get a Punk Rock boost on an electric move like Overdrive means that there's no real limit to how creative developers can get with sound moves. If we were to take all these properties and lock them behind a single type, the whole concept becomes a lot less dynamic, and certain Pokemon become broken because their best counterplay is just thrown out the window. There really isn't a balance benefit to bringing the sound type into the game, and it's only going to simplify things to the point of being pretty boring in all honesty. Now, some of you might be saying, why not just let these moves keep their properties as sound-based moves while still including a sound type? Well, why don't I bring my own coffee to Starbucks, because that defeats the purpose. If sound-based moves remain in the game while there's also a sound type, at that point, you're just limiting the potential for the sound type itself. Okay, yeah, let's turn all normal sound-based moves into sound types like Uproar, Boom Burst, and Hyper Voice, but then what's left? There are only so many ways to make noise that don't just encroach on other types. You want to ring a bell to make noise? That's a Steel type move. You want to use an amp? That's an Electric type move. On top of all of that, there are no physical sound-based moves in the game, and that's because how do I punch someone with sound? Fire Punch, I light my fist on fire. Thunder Punch, I electrify my fist. Ice Punch, I put on a ring pop. These things all manage to be physical while remaining their respective elemental type. But Mr. Boosted, I hear you saying, all punching moves aren't fighting type, so why can't all sound-based moves not be sound type? Because if they weren't, we'd have like 5 sound moves. I can think of 20 variations of hitting something with electricity, but at some point we have to admit there's only a few ways to beatbox at someone. Some of you might say, I lack creativity, but I would counter that adding the sound type would only limit creativity. There's a ton of Pokemon that are sound themed. Toxtricity, Skeledirge, Kommo-o, Primarina. What do all these Pokemon have in common besides the variety of sound-based moves that they use? They all already have 2 types. In a way, the sound theming operates as sort of a pseudo third type. Now imagine if the sound type existed and we had to suddenly assign these Pokemon that typing. Well, what happens to these Pokemon? Well, Toxtricity is now either Electric Sound or Poison Sound, meaning that in either scenario, half of its name doesn't make sense anymore. Skeledirge has to be Fire Sound since it's a starter, but its whole Day of the Dead theming just goes unrecognized by its typing. How are you going to have a Day of the Dead Pokemon not be Ghost type? Kommo-o is either Dragon Sound or Fighting Sound, which once again just ignores half of its design origins, and Primarina, well, that one's okay, I guess. I don't really care. I like Tapu Fini better anyways. My point is that there's just far more possibilities for unique Pokemon design when sound is just a theme and a mechanic rather than a type itself. We'd end up with, yes, a new type, but this looming precedent that if something sings, it would be wrong for it not to be a sound type. meaning no poison electric guitar lizards and no ghost mariachi crocodiles. Nope, we're left with Portmanteaon, the 4th Pokemon with toe in its name, and we're just supposed to be okay with that. Certain concepts in Pokemon just don't need to be a type. Adding a sound type is kind of like adding an alien type. Are there alien Pokemon? Yeah, but the idea that Pokemon are aliens can be communicated through their design and lore without needing a whole new type to just tell you. Look at Kartana, Clefairy, and Deoxys. We have 3 excellent alien Pokemon, all with completely different typings. I think people just kind of get caught up in the idea that adding a new type would immediately fix some of the issues with their favorite Pokemon and lead them to being more unique and interesting. And that could be true. The Fairy type did exactly this for a lot of Pokemon. But sound as a type is one of the few concepts that would actively decrease the unique Pokemon designs possible, as opposed to sound just being a category. You just get that pseudo third type. So in conclusion, the concept of sound just doesn't work with our current type chart to fix issues with the game, and there's so many more design options when sound isn't a type as opposed to just being a theme. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It means the world to me. If you want to support me further, you can check out my Patreon page or become a YouTube channel member by clicking the join button below the video. This gets you sneak peeks at future videos as well as bonus content and access to my supporter-only Discord, where you can hang out and team build with other community members. You also see your name at the end of all my videos like all these other people. Special thanks to my most boosted supporters, Avatar67 and Club, for their generous pledges. Another way to support me is to check out all the videos on playlist on screen right now, and I will find something in there that you'll enjoy. I also have a second channel where I talk about the current VGC metagame trends and a Twitch channel where I stream, or you can tune into my YouTube live streams Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. CST. Also, what do you think about the webcam? I kind of like it. It's helping me feel like people actually know what I look like when I go to events, so maybe. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.